Have you ever wondered why, when faced with the same crisis, some people manage to move forward calmly while you crumble under an unnamed anxiety? Have there been nights, in the silence of darkness, when you feel surrounded by financial pressures, family burdens, or the uncertainty of middle age, only to realize you can't find a shred of peace in your own mind? These worries are real, heavy, and sometimes make us feel small in the vastness of life. But what creates the difference between the few who remain steadfast and the many who drown in anxiety? It's not luck, nor extraordinary talent, but rather the art of mastering the mind, an art that Stoic philosophy has preserved and passed down for thousands of years. Through this, you gain a solid foundation to become stronger than 99% of those around you. Why not 100%? Because perfection is an illusion, while true resilience is real and can be cultivated day by day. Lesson 1. Focus on what you can control. In life, uncertainty is the only certainty. No matter how meticulously we plan or how hard we strive, there will always be variables beyond our influence. It is tempting, almost natural, to want to seize control over every detail and outcome, to believe that our sheer will can shape the world to our liking. Yet the truth is, much of what happens in life unfolds beyond our grasp, regardless of how fiercely we cling to the illusion of control. Consider the game of soccer, often called the beautiful game. Here, a player must focus on their position, their effort, and their technique, not on the outcome of every match, the decisions of referees, or the unpredictable bounce of the ball. In sports, as in life, the most resilient and successful individuals are those who pour their energy into the areas where they can truly make a difference. When we invest our attention in what we can control, we find not only effectiveness, but also a surprising source of peace. Knowing that you have done your best, preparing diligently, giving your all, staying true to your values, brings a deep satisfaction that cushions you against the chaos of things beyond your influence. However, many people find it hard to accept that they cannot direct the entire course of their lives. Some spend years struggling to change others or obsessing over circumstances they cannot alter. They may try to micromanage every detail, fix everyone's problems, or constantly seek reassurance about what the future holds. The tragic irony is that the more one seeks to control everything, the less control one actually has over one's own peace of mind. Their days become consumed by worry and frustration, their nights haunted by anxieties that never resolve. They end up wasting precious time and energy on things that ultimately make no real difference. As philosopher Seneca once said, we suffer more often in imagination than in reality. This insight points to a profound truth. Most of our emotional turmoil comes not from the events themselves, but from our resistance to accepting what we cannot change. The relentless attempt to bend the world to our will only multiplies our pain. Instead of empowering us, this impulse drains us, leading not only to anxiety, but also to anger and emotional exhaustion. When our happiness depends on unpredictable factors, life becomes a constant struggle, and true contentment always feels just out of reach. Yet, there is another way to live. When we shift our focus inward and ask ourselves, what is within my control right now? We unlock a new realm of possibility. We cannot dictate the thoughts or actions of others, nor can we guarantee outcomes, but we can always choose our attitude, our response, and our preparation for whatever may come. By narrowing our focus to what is within our sphere of influence, we take back our power from the uncontrollable storms of life. John, who has just lost their job, is in a moment filled with fear, disappointment, and uncertainty. He has two paths forward. One path leads to endless rumination over the injustice of it all, blaming others, or sinking into despair over a future that suddenly seems so fragile. The other path begins with a simple but powerful question: what can I do right here and right now? The answer might be to update a resume, to learn a new skill, to reach out for support, or to take better care of one's health during this challenging period. Each small action, focused on the controllable, begins to rebuild confidence and restore a sense of agency. Focusing on what we can control is not about ignoring the pain of loss or pretending that disappointment does not exist. Rather, it is about redirecting our energy into the space where we can create genuine change. Our attitude, for instance, is always within reach. We may not choose every event that happens to us, but we can decide whether to approach it with bitterness or with curiosity, with resistance or with resilience. We can control our preparation by choosing to show up each day ready for what may come, instead of being caught off guard by the unexpected. Most importantly, we can always take responsibility for our choices, refusing to let external events define the core of who we are. The cost of focusing on what lies outside our control is high. Anxiety festers when we worry about outcomes we cannot guarantee. Anger arises when others fail to meet our expectations or life takes a turn we did not foresee. Mental exhaustion creeps in as we battle reality, one disappointment at a time. But when we root ourselves in what we can control, these negative patterns begin to dissolve. Peace replaces anxiety. Acceptance soothes anger. Energy once wasted on fruitless worry is now channeled into purposeful action. Real freedom is found not in bending the world to our will, but in mastering our inner response to whatever comes our way. By returning, again and again, to the question of what is within our power, we develop a quiet confidence that endures even the harshest storms. We stop trying to script the entire play and instead focus on delivering our lines with clarity and conviction, no matter what the rest of the world may do. In the end, life rewards not those who seek to control everything, but those who learn to master themselves. The journey toward this mastery is not easy, but it is worth every step. Each moment spent choosing to focus on what we can influence is a moment reclaimed from the chaos, a small but steady step toward a mind that is calm, resilient, and truly free. Lesson 2. Accept and face difficulties calmly. There are moments in life when pressure builds suddenly and mercilessly. Imagine the scene. It's midnight, and Will Smith, one of the world's most recognized actors, lies awake, gripped by the invisible weight of a midlife crisis. In interviews, he has spoken honestly about those nights, when fear and doubt gnaw at the edges of his confidence. What's remarkable, though, isn't that Will Smith faced these difficulties. It's that he chose not to run or deny what he felt. Instead, he acknowledged the darkness, looked his worries in the eye, and slowly learned to master his emotions. In a world obsessed with external success, this quiet act of courage, the willingness to accept pain and uncertainty rather than evade it, is often overlooked. But in truth, it is one of life's most timeless lessons. Ask yourself honestly, how do you react when the heat is on? Do you panic, tense up, or let anxiety run wild through your thoughts? If so, you're far from alone. Most of us, when confronted with hardship, instinctively try to shield ourselves from discomfort. We distract ourselves, blame others, or simply hope the problem will go away. Yet, paradoxically, the more we resist what hurts, the more power it holds over us. The true path to mastery of the mind does not lie in the denial or avoidance of difficulties. Instead, it calls for a radical shift, accepting and facing hardships calmly and directly. This idea may sound counterintuitive. After all, isn't it only natural to fear pain, to want to escape adversity? Yet, history and human experience reveal a deeper truth. Those who grow strongest are not those who never stumble, but those who learn to see struggle as a teacher, not a curse. There is an ancient practice that invites us to do something both simple and profound. Each day, imagine that something unexpected or even undesirable could happen. Not to become pessimistic or negative, but to gently prepare the mind to loosen the grip of shock and disappointment. If the worst occurs, it does not find us defenseless. If it does not, we feel gratitude. He suffers more than necessary. Who suffers before it is necessary, wrote Seneca, one of the great thinkers of antiquity. This wisdom urges us not to be paralyzed by imagined disasters, but to be ready for them and to meet them with grace if they arrive. The real power of this practice lies in its ability to transform how we relate to our own emotions. Instead of seeing anxiety or sadness as enemies to be eliminated, we allow them to arise, observe them, and let them pass. Imagine standing in the middle of a storm. The winds may howl, the rain may beat down, but you remain still, rooted, unshaken. This is not the numbness of someone who feels nothing. It is the resilience of someone who has learned that pain, loss, and uncertainty are all part of the human condition, and that facing them calmly is not weakness, but profound strength. Consider again the example of Will Smith. Rather than denying his pain or pretending it did not exist, he accepted his feelings, sat with them, and used the experience as a catalyst for growth. He did not let the fear of the unknown, the restlessness of midlife, or the pressure of public expectations define him. Instead, he asked himself, what can I learn from this? How can I act in a way that is true to my values? By facing difficulty directly, he reclaimed agency over his own story. This approach is not only for celebrities or those in the public eye. It is available to anyone at any moment. In the ordinary course of our days, we can train ourselves to respond to challenges with greater calm and clarity. When you find yourself anticipating a difficult conversation, an uncertain future, or a sudden loss, pause for a moment. Imagine the worst-case scenario, not to terrify yourself, but to test your readiness. Then ask, if this were to happen, how would I want to respond? What would it mean to act with dignity, courage, or kindness, even in hardship? By practicing this form of mental rehearsal, we weaken the grip of fear and build the muscles of calm resilience. Moreover, this mindset invites a deep kind of freedom. We no longer need to spend our lives running from discomfort, anxiously guarding against every possible loss or setback. Instead, we can move through life with open eyes and an open heart, knowing that whatever happens, we have the inner resources to face it. This does not mean that suffering disappears, but it does mean that suffering loses its power to destroy our peace. Ultimately, to accept and face difficulties calmly is to choose reality over illusion, growth over stagnation. It is important to remember that storms will come, but they do not have to sweep us away. As Seneca reminds us, most of our suffering is borrowed from an imagined future, not the present moment. When we meet adversity with steady presence, we give ourselves the gift of clarity and strength. And in that space between the challenge and our response, we discover the true freedom that only a calm and resilient mind can offer. Lesson 3. Control your emotions with reason. Emotions are a powerful force capable of fueling our ambition or leading us into ruin. In moments of anger or hurt, even the most rational person can find their judgment clouded and their actions impulsive. Consider the story of Mark, a meticulous team leader known for his professionalism and high standards. One morning, Mark received direct criticism from a close colleague in a private meeting. The words were blunt and cut deeply, challenging not just his decisions, but his very approach to leadership. Waves of embarrassment and resentment surged within him. Instinctively, he found himself mentally preparing a counterattack, listing his colleagues' flaws, picturing scenarios of retaliation. All the while, his face remained expressionless, a mask of calm that belied the storm inside. In those tense moments, Mark faced a simple but life-altering choice: surrender to emotional reactivity or pause and regain control through reason. It is in such situations that the art of mastering one's emotions reveals its profound value. For most of us, the gravest mistakes are not errors of intellect, but of impulse. Decisions made in anger, fear, or wounded pride rarely lead to good outcomes. In truth, nearly every regretful word uttered or irreversible action taken can be traced to a single failure: the inability to step outside of ourselves and assess what we are feeling, to apply reason before response. When we allow strong emotions to dictate our actions, the consequences often outlast the moment of upset. Relationships can suffer irreparable harm, professional credibility may be lost, and self-respect is eroded bit by bit. But if we can develop the ability to pause to step back from the rush of blood and fire in our veins, we reclaim the power to choose our response, not just react blindly. This is where the wisdom of the ancients comes into play. As the philosopher Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." This simple truth cuts to the heart of emotional mastery. External events, even the harshest criticism or the most unexpected setbacks, are not within our control. What lies within our grasp is the ability to shape our reaction, to decide, in the space between stimulus and response, how we want to show up in the world. Epictetus's words serve as a quiet compass when tempers flare or when anxiety takes over. When we truly understand that our power lies in response, not in circumstance, we find a kind of inner freedom that cannot be taken from us. The difference between thriving and barely surviving, between peace and turmoil, so often hinges on this overlooked gap, the brief pause where reason can step in. This short interval of self-awareness interrupts the automatic cycle of reaction. It offers clarity where there was confusion, and the chance to respond in a way that aligns with your highest values, not just with your momentary feelings. Over time, these small acts of emotional discipline become habits. Each time you resist the urge to lash out, to wallow, or to judge harshly, you are strengthening the muscles of self-control and wisdom. Moreover, this approach to emotion is not about suppression or denial. On the contrary, it is about recognition and honest acceptance. All emotions are natural: anger, fear, jealousy, grief. The challenge is not to banish these feelings, but to ensure they serve us rather than enslave us. Reason becomes the guiding hand, steering us away from reckless words and actions and toward responses that are thoughtful, measured, and ultimately beneficial. Life, by its nature, is unpredictable. Disappointments, criticisms, and losses are inevitable. Yet, our capacity to reason through our emotions gives us a sturdy anchor amidst the storm. This is not a promise of a life free from pain or struggle. Rather, it is the promise of an unshakable foundation, the knowledge that while we may not control what the world brings, we always control our own responses. Reflecting back on Mark's story, he chose not to retaliate or dismiss his colleague. Instead, after a moment of pause and honest self-reflection, he acknowledged the criticism, thanked his colleague for the courage to speak openly, and took time to review his own actions. This single decision not only preserved a valuable working relationship, but also earned him respect and deepened his own sense of inner mastery. It was not the absence of emotion, but the careful governance of it that led to a better outcome. So, in the trials of everyday life, remember, mastery over the mind begins with the smallest of pauses, a breath before words, a moment to let reason shine through the noise of feeling. In doing so, you will find that you are not at the mercy of your emotions, but their master, and that power, quietly built over time, will set you apart from almost everyone around you. Lesson 4. Live by your values. Do not compare with others. Why is it that when we measure ourselves against the strengths of others, we often use our own weaknesses as the yardstick? If you were to take the best qualities of someone else and line them up against the parts of yourself you like least, what verdict would you expect? It's not hard to see that this is a recipe for self-doubt, disappointment, and a sense of inadequacy that eats away at our peace of mind. Yet, almost everyone has done this at some point, many of us far too often. Comparison, so often disguised as motivation, is nothing more than a thief in the night. As Theodore Roosevelt once observed, comparison is the thief of joy. The simple act of comparing robs us of the satisfaction and happiness that should rightfully be ours. It never leads to lasting contentment. Instead, it traps us in a cycle of self-judgment, either inflating the ego or eroding our confidence, and neither is a solid foundation for fulfillment. There is a deep truth here. Genuine happiness and stability come from living according to our values, not from chasing approval or outpacing others. When we hand over our sense of self to the shifting opinions and achievements of those around us, we are renting out our identity, hoping that someone else will validate our worth. But, inevitably, this leaves us empty. The satisfaction gained from surpassing others is fleeting, always demanding another victory, another reassurance. And, when the tables turn and someone else shines brighter, the ground beneath us shakes. Consider the experience of Dave, a salesperson who spent years quietly suffering under the weight of comparison. Social media, with its endless scroll of highlights and victories, made him doubt every choice and achievement. The glow of someone else's promotion, family trip, or new car seemed to cast a shadow over his own life, no matter how hard he tried. It wasn't until Dave shifted his attention inward, focusing on his own growth, his own values, his own journey, that he rediscovered peace. He found that progress measured against himself, not others, was where fulfillment truly lived. Music, too, captures this lesson. In the song "What Makes You Beautiful" by One Direction, the underlying message is clear. No matter how remarkable your talents or appearance, the act of comparing yourself to someone else will steal your joy. You'll never see your own light if your eyes are fixed on another's reflection. So, what can we do? The first step is to recognize that most comparisons are based on illusions, not reality. Often, when we compare, we only see a filtered, curated version of someone else's life, especially online. Our minds are quick to highlight others' strengths while fixating on our own flaws. It's a distorted mirror, one that cannot reflect the whole truth. Remind yourself, these thoughts are not reality. Challenge them. If you find yourself repeatedly comparing your career, family, or appearance to others, write down those situations. Examine the most common comparison scripts in your head. Are they based on fact, or are they simply stories your mind tells you to reinforce old fears? Most often, our comparisons are not just unfair, they are fundamentally untrue. You never see the full picture of anyone's life. Nobody has it all. If social media fuels these thoughts, take a break. Unfollow accounts that drain your motivation or leave you feeling lesser, whether they focus on parenting, fitness, or beauty. Protect your space and mind fiercely. But the work doesn't stop at filtering your environment. Next, turn your attention to what you truly value. When you catch yourself making a comparison, pause and ask, what do I really care about? Is it the number of people who like me? Or is it the quiet confidence that comes from knowing myself? Do I value looking perfect? Or do I care more about my health, my relationships, my creativity? Do I need to tear others down to feel whole? Or can I contribute to a world where we lift each other up? Shift your focus from external competition to what genuinely matters to you. Keep reminders of your values, goals, and achievements visible, a note on your mirror, a message on your phone, a daily journal entry. Let these reminders anchor you. Instead of pouring your energy into comparison, channel it into personal growth, creativity, and the activities that bring you true joy. Concentrate on becoming the version of yourself you most admire, not a shadow of someone else's highlight reel. Furthermore, comparison is isolating. It convinces us we are alone in our struggles and shortcomings, when in reality, everyone is fighting their own battles. Imagine creating a new rule for yourself. Life is not a competition, but a collaboration. There is nothing to lose and much to gain by celebrating the happiness and success of others. If someone close to you achieves something remarkable, allow yourself to feel genuinely happy for them. When they suffer loss, share in their sorrow. When you see someone thrive, let it inspire and teach you, rather than threaten your sense of self. As the philosopher Marcus Aurelius wrote, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." His words are a reminder that peace, strength, and joy are cultivated internally, not harvested from the approval or envy of others. The true path to contentment is to align your life with your values, to turn comparison into compassion, and to measure your growth by your own standards, not by the shifting tides of the outside world. In the end, you are not here to win someone else's race. You are here to become your best self. That is the only comparison worth making, and it is more than enough. Lesson 5. Find deeper meaning in life. I lie on my bed, staring up at the ceiling, and a familiar question echoes through my mind. Is this all there is? Perhaps you have felt it too, the quiet ache of drifting through the routines of daily life, longing for something more meaningful. Life can easily become a relentless cycle. Wake up, work, sleep, repeat. But deep down, we all sense that life is more than just existing. At some point, most of us confront that haunting emptiness, often when we least expect it. Perhaps it comes in the silence after a long day, or when a moment of success suddenly feels hollow. It's the realization that material achievements, no matter how great, cannot fill the silent spaces in our hearts. We may reach the summit of a career, accumulate possessions, or cross off bucket list goals, only to find the persistent question lingers: what truly matters? A recent study published in 2021 in the journal PLOS1 offers important insight into the human search for meaning. Conducted by Brodie C. Dakin and his colleagues at the University of Queensland, the research reveals that the pursuit of meaning in life is rarely a simple or effortless path. Instead, it often requires real sacrifice and a genuine commitment to helping others. As co-author Brodie Dakin explains, we fundamentally achieve a sense of meaning in life through positive, helpful relations to others. The study found that people who are actively searching for meaning are especially drawn to pro-social behaviors that are difficult or demanding, precisely because these actions carry a deeper sense of purpose. This understanding echoes the wisdom of many great thinkers throughout history. We discover the richest meaning not in comfort or ease, but in moments when we rise to a challenge and extend ourselves for the sake of others. It is these acts rooted in effort, generosity, and connection that leave a lasting imprint on our souls. It is no coincidence that, when life feels empty or overwhelming, we instinctively look beyond ourselves. We seek connection, purpose, and a sense of contribution. Genuine meaning rarely comes from pursuing short-term pleasures or fleeting happiness. Rather, it arises from the willingness to serve, to grow, and to be part of something larger than ourselves. This is a truth that transcends cultures, time, and even philosophy itself. Marcus Aurelius wisely stated, "He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe." This simple but profound statement captures a deep reality. Finding meaning is not about chasing approval, material success, or even external accomplishments. Instead, it is about aligning your actions with your deepest values, living with integrity, and recognizing your unique role in the tapestry of life. When you live in harmony with yourself, you become a source of peace and strength, not only for yourself, but also for those around you. Yet, the quest for meaning can feel daunting. Many people imagine that it requires a grand purpose or some extraordinary mission. In truth, the path to deeper meaning is often quiet and deeply personal. It may emerge in the love you pour into your family, the dedication you bring to your work, or the kindness you show to strangers. Even small, consistent acts of generosity and compassion can give life a sense of profound significance. To begin this journey, start by reflecting on what truly matters to you. Write down 3 things you find meaningful and ask yourself each day, does what I do today matter to myself and to others? This simple practice creates a bridge between intention and action, turning vague aspirations into lived reality. Meaning grows not from wishful thinking, but from the conscious choices you make every day. You may discover that your sense of meaning is rooted in relationships with family, friends, or your community. Perhaps it is cultivated through personal growth, learning, or creative expression. For others, meaning is found in spiritual practice or a commitment to a cause greater than themselves. What matters is not the form, but the genuine sense of fulfillment it brings. Listen to your inner voice and honor the values that feel most authentic to you. As you reflect, remember that deeper meaning is always evolving. Life is not static, and what feels purposeful today may shift tomorrow. This is not a failure, but a sign of growth. Allow yourself the space to explore, to question, and to refine your understanding of what truly gives your life value. Meditation, solitude, or simply quiet moments of contemplation can help you reconnect with your core, offering clarity in a noisy world. It's also essential to let go of the myth of perfection. The pursuit of meaning is not about comparing yourself to others or living up to some impossible standard. True meaning is personal and unique. It belongs to you alone. If you ever feel lost, it reminds you of what truly deserves your energy and attention. Over time, it weaves a quiet confidence into the fabric of your days. In the end, meaning is not found in the world outside, but cultivated within. It grows from living authentically, from caring deeply, and from embracing the ongoing journey to become the person you are meant to be. No matter how mundane or overwhelming life may sometimes feel, remember, your search for deeper meaning is itself a powerful act of hope. a testament to your spirit's unyielding desire for a life that is truly lived, not just endured. Controlling your mind is not a final destination, but a lifelong journey of daily practice. The 5 timeless lessons we've explored today have empowered millions to stand strong in the face of adversity, even in the most challenging and competitive environments. Remember, mastery over your mind is not reserved for a select few. If you are willing to take this seriously and put in the effort, step by step, you'll discover a transformation that sets you apart from 99% of those around you. Begin small. Practice every day. With each challenge you encounter, see it as a chance to build your inner calm and resilience. Over time, you'll realize that every struggle has shaped you into a stronger, wiser version of yourself. This is not just the wisdom of ancient philosophers, it's a living truth, waiting for you to make it real. Now, I want to hear from you. Leave a comment below with the words, "I control my mind," if you're ready to take charge of your inner world. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more powerful videos. Your journey is only just beginning.